God Eater Episode 9 is not the finale, because at the end of this episode, after the credits, it is revealed that Episode 10 through 13 is coming out in winter 2016. Let me clarify for some of you who can understand what that exactly means. That means that we're not going to have any more episodes of God Eater this year. Probably the only episodes we're going to get is probably around January to the end of December is when we might get new episodes for God Eater. So, yeah. It's going to be a while until we see a new episode of God Eater, and the reason for this is because Ufotable ran out of time slots for God Eater to air in this upcoming season. So now thinking about it like this, I gotta tackle this entire issue because it's one of the major issues that's kind of plagued God Eater since the very beginning of the series, and I just cannot believe how much issues Ufotable has had with God Eater up to this very point of the series, because right now God Eater is delayed. Like, it is delayed right now until winter 2016. That means we have to go through an entire anime season, fall, this upcoming season, fall, before we can even get to God Eater once again. And even then, it's only going to be like 3 episodes. And we don't even know if they're going to come out at the exact same time, or if it's going to be a weekly thing, or every 2 weekly thing. We have no fucking idea. But whatever it is, I mean, we have to wait an entire anime season for more episodes of God Eater. So if this episode had a horrible cliffhanger and you're kind of upset with that, we're going to have to deal with that and stomach that for a while, because we're not going to get any more information about what's going to happen next until, you know, the episodes come out in winter 2016. I feel like it's the right move for Ufotable to put God Eater on a hiatus. I mean, it's also probably because of, you know, running out of time slots. They couldn't, you know, put more episodes out because, you know, they had no more time slots on the channel, the broadcasting channel. But I felt like it was a good move just to say, okay, let's just stop for now, let's put God Eater to the side, and let's work on this and get it ready before, you know, we air the next upcoming episodes. So this gives Ufotable time to where they're able to work on the remaining episodes and put some good production into them before we get to see them. I think we all know by now that Ufotable has had some huge issues with this season of God Eater. Like, I mean, it had to delay for the first episode air date because of production issues. Ufotable said production issues. This wasn't Crunchyroll. This was actually the studio making it said production issues, and they had to delay the episode, along with, you know, multiple times throughout the entire series' run that we constantly had extra episodes where it would take like a 1-week break like every 2 weeks before they can make the next episodes. And so it just goes to show you how much strain God Eater has placed on Ufotable Studio. And I've covered this many times before, but seeing how, once again, it's another huge issue with this series because now it's delayed once again until winter, I just really hope Ufotable doesn't have to deal with this anymore, because this, honestly, is one of the first times I've ever experienced something like this when it comes to anime. Like, I've never seen an anime series have this many issues in such a short time frame. Like, I've seen, you know, budget issues, I've seen it to where animation kind of looks bad, and I've seen it to where, you know, there's natural disasters and some things, you know, some anime have to be delayed, which that is understandable. But this is my first time ever being as an anime watcher watching anime seasons. I think I have ever witnessed an anime experience this many issues repeatedly, over and over and over again. So the main question is God Eater the anime, besides the adaptation-wise and the story or anything, was this anime, in Ufotable's eyes, a failure? I'm not saying that this is bad. I'm just saying a failure as in, you know, trying to make this as an anime. Did Ufotable fail because of how many issues this has caused them, and probably what is going to cost them in the end because of all these delays? I mean, you gotta go figure, with all these delays and the hype behind it and all that, is people still going to be hyped for this series the time episode 10 comes out in a couple months? Because, I mean, as time goes on, with this upcoming season, you know, coming closer, you know, with One Punch Man and a bunch of other anime, people's mind are going to get off of God Eater, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, I don't even remember God Eater no more when we get into the next season, and then when winter comes around, we're not really even going to remember God Eater until it comes into our face, like, oh yeah, this is coming. So I'm kind of worried that the way this is being handled, this might hurt the sales of God Eater's BD DVDs because of the delays, but that's another issue entirely. So let's talk about the episode. So with everything else off the table, like let's push aside the delays and stuff, the remaining episode, or this episode, episode 9 of God Eater. Okay, so I'm glad this ain't the finale, because if this was the finale, I would have had a different attitude. I would have probably been a little bit upset, and I'd have been, oh yeah, I would have been very upset, because if I didn't have an announcement for a season 2 or more episodes, I would have been upset, because this wouldn't have been a finale. This is just like, what the fuck? Like, what's gonna happen? Like, it would have felt like an episode that ended, like, after episode 2. That's kind of how this episode would have felt to me if this was the finale. So I'm glad it's not, and once again, God Eater brings up more questions than answers. So I'm curious on how God Eater's supposed to clarify all these questions I have by episode 13 that's going to be coming out in winter 2016. Besides those questions, though, I'm also curious about some of the things that are building up in this episode with Elisa. For instance, she's being brainwashed to attacking Lindo. Oh, God. You know, I cannot believe such a strong female character like Elisa, that was a badass, that could hold her own at the early stages of this anime, has turned into someone that is being brainwashed and is basically a child. I cannot believe a character that was that badass, on top of a plane, kicking fucking ass and face rolling origami like nothing, turned into something like she is now. Who would have thought that Linka, our main male character, would actually be the best character? I mean, I know for a fact nobody thought that. Besides, unless you're probably a game person, like if you play the game of God Eater, most likely knew Linka was going to be good. But when it comes to us anime onlys, with the first episode introductions, I know many watchers were saying Linka was a bad character just because of how he was done. But I've seen that change constantly over the episodes because of the way he's being able to use his mind, become a tactician, the way he's being able to lead. He's become a very good character. A lot better character than he was when he started off. And also Soma in this episode with his backstory and characterization of finding out how he was born, how he, became a God Eater, and many things like that. I felt like this episode did a good job giving characterization to a side character. Now, majority of other episodes have been trying to give characterization to Linka, Elisa, and Lindo. But with this, we focus more on Soma and get to see what drives him to be a God Eater and what his motivation is to even be able to live. And that's kind of what the episode is about. So yeah, this is my final video of God Eater, I think, for the rest of this year. I don't think there's going to be any more God Eater videos, for the rest of this year, unless it comes out late December. If it comes out late December, well, you could, expect a, a video review and on the episode. But, yeah, so I guess this is farewell for a couple months for God Eater. I'd rather see it delayed, to be honest, than canceled, so I'm glad it's delayed over anything else. I'd rather see it delayed for, 8 months than see it completely canceled and never have a conclusion. So, thank you, Ufotable, for at the very least knowing when to just call it quits, put it off, and finish it up, and then air it. At least Ufotable knows common decency to just say, okay, we can't air this, let's just wait, build up the episodes, and then we can air them later on in a couple months. I'm glad they decided to do that. So dump your thoughts and comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.